Iranian Revolutionary Guards after attacking oil tankers in the Gulf last Thursday. Or that's what the Americans say. The Pentagon released a series of still photographs which they say provide more proof that Iran attached limpet mines to the ships. The pictures were taken by a US surveillance helicopter. The message: we know what you did.
We have been engaged in many messages, even this moment right here, communicating to Iran that we are there to deter aggression. President Trump does not want war, and we will continue to communicate that message while doing the things that are necessary to protect American interests in the region.
Opening a new terminal at Imam Khomeini Airport outside Tehran, President Rouhani was also sending a message to the Americans. This started because you withdrew from the nuclear deal, reimposed sanctions and raised the rhetoric.
We do not wage war with any nation. Our opponents are a bunch of inexperienced politicians. But on our side, it's not just our government, but the whole Iranian nation that is unanimously present in this battle. Iran has been loyal to its commitments, to its signature and to international agreements. But it's those who are confronting us today who have stomped on promises, agreements and international regulations.
But now Iran is threatening to enrich uranium beyond the limits agreed in the nuclear deal, much to the consternation of the other signatories. Senior EU and German officials visited Tehran last week to try to dissuade the Iranians.
We must do everything we can to resolve the conflict with Iran peacefully. That's what Germany is committed to doing. That's why the foreign minister has been to Iran. We are in close contact with our American partners. This is a very serious situation, as we know, but we will do everything in our power to influence all sides and, above all, to make it clear to Iran that this serious situation must not be aggravated.
The belligerence from both sides is causing consternation.
It's absolutely essential this is scaled down, and I think our role should be diplomatic. That's the only way forward. No one in the region wants a conflict, least of all the peoples who will be affected. This is all very well for leaders to talk to each other and bandy words and rhetoric. At the end of this, there are peoples who potentially could suffer immensely. I think the UK has a really strong diplomatic role with EU partners in relation to this.
The USS Lincoln is now near the Gulf. The Americans have announced they will send another 1,000 troops to the region. Diplomats across the world worry that the US policy of maximum pressure, far from convincing Iran to enter new negotiations, has provoked despair and fury, and both sides will find it hard to back down.
Lindsay Hilson reporting there. Now, Donald Trump's promise to put America first may have helped get him elected, but what will his foreign policies mean for his chances of re-election? He's launching his 2020 campaign in Florida tonight, and Danny Eisdale is in a rainy Orlando for us. Danny, what do Trump supporters make of these raised tensions with Iran?
Well, Kathy, keep in mind that these people here today are the most staunch of Donald Trump defenders. There are thousands of people who stood waiting in the baking sun for hours only to suffer a sudden violent thunderstorm and be told to take shelter and go home. They didn't do that, but that's just to basically stand in the car park outside his relaunched rally tonight. When the weather was a little bit better earlier, though, we did ask them how they felt about this new extra 1,000 troops heading to the Middle East.
I think it's a great idea. I think you have to take Iran at face value, and that when they say they want to destroy the West, that means you and me, and you've got to believe them for what they say.
Aren't you worried that all of this could lead to conflict? I mean, do you want more of your troops abroad?
I'm not worried that this will lead to conflict. I think weakness leads to conflict.
Donald Trump and our whole intelligence agency has so much more information than we could imagine. For him to make that decision is gut-wrenching.
And you trust him 100%?
I do. He's the first person in my lifetime that has sat in that office that I think is doing things that are just right for America.
And Danny, tell us, why is the 2020 launch in Orlando?
Well, certainly not because of the weather. The point is basically he won Florida in 2016, but only just. He has to win it again in 2020 if he wants to keep his job. Now, his campaigning is being launched again tonight for 2020, but the truth is it never really stopped. He's been holding rallies since he announced he wanted to be president in the first place in 2015. 550 so far and counting. So they had to make this one a little bit special because it's the big launch for Trump 2020. They held a festival, if you like, with thousands of people, food, vans, music, the works. That's obviously been rained out, but people are heading inside to this big rally. They wanted to stay here because they want to support him, and he needs that support. He needs that support and far more as well, because his satisfaction ratings have been consistently lower than he would like. And also, you know, he really needs to raise those and mount a devastatingly successful challenge to whoever the Democrat candidate that takes him on in 2020 is. That mission begins tonight in earnest here in Orlando at the rally behind me.